It's Wednesday, December 21. In the headlines, DBJ extends funding deadline set to grow MSMEs. In business news, BOJ projects inflation to decline in 2023. Regionally, Bahamian health authorities urge citizens to get their flu shots. And in sports, Moroccan FIFA World Cup team receives heroes' welcome on their return back home. This is the news on PBC Jamaica. I'm Maya Chung. Micro and small enterprises, MSEs, now have up to Friday, January 6, 2023 to submit applications for the Development Bank of Jamaica DBJ Innovation Grant for New Ideas to Entrepreneurship Ignite 4. Carla Thomas Hewitt tells us more.
The DBJ extended the original deadline from December 16, citing demand as the reason. Christopher Brown, the Boosting Innovation, Growth and Entrepreneurship Ecosystem Big E Program Manager, in a statement issued to the press, said the decision to extend the deadline was set against the background of the numerous requests received from entrepreneurs and small business owners requesting an extension. Mr. Brown added further that considering the Christmas holiday is fast approaching and it is one of the busiest times for businesses, Big E readily agreed to a 3-week extension. Ignite is a grant funding program offered by the DBJ to MSMEs to scale and grow their businesses. The DBJ is looking for novel and innovative business ideas in the areas of tourism and creatives, agriculture and manufacturing, technology, software and ICT, climate change, and gender. Registered Jamaican businesses can access up to $7 million under the program and are encouraged to apply for an Ignite grant by aligning with one of the 7 business service intermediaries that the DBJ has working on the program. The BSIs are Jamaica Business Development Corporation, Sisters Inc. Jamaica, Technology Innovation Center, Caribbean Climate Innovation Center, Jamaica Manufacturers and Exporters Association, Kingston Creative, and TBR Lab. Ignite is part of the DBJ's Big E program, which is funded through a loan agreement between the Government of Jamaica and the Inter-American Development Bank. The direct outcome of Big E is to build out and ensure Jamaica has a robust and sustained entrepreneurship ecosystem. For the news on PBCJ, I am Carla Thomas Hewitt.
2023 is an important milestone year for the University of the West Indies, UWI, as it marks 75 years since the official opening of its first campus in Mona, Jamaica. Saturday, January 7, 2023 has been declared UWI Day and will be commemorated with a series of proclamations by some regional heads of state across the region, signaling the start of the UWI's 75th anniversary celebrations under the theme UWI at 75, Rooted, Ready, Rising. The date holds special significance for the University of the West Indies. On January 7, 1947, the governing body of the University College of the West Indies, a branch of the University of London, intended to serve British colonies, assembled for its first meeting in the House of the British Council in Jamaica. It was at this first meeting that a decision was taken for lands at Mona, Jamaica, to be used for establishing the first campus of the University of the West Indies. 1 year later, the campus welcomed its first class of 33 medical students. Dr. Maurice Smith, University Registrar and Chair, shared that several events and activities managed with careful financial prudence are being planned to commemorate this 75th Jubilee milestone. And it's now time for the business report from Danita Rodney.
Speaking at the Standing Finance Committee meeting last week, Richard Bowles, Governor of the Bank of Jamaica, says the bank is expecting the inflation rate to decline in 2023.
Inflation is projected to decline to single digits in early 2023 and return to the 4% to 6% target range by December of next year.
Governor Bowles says that the bank understands the impact the monetary policy actions have had on Jamaicans, but the biggest impact has been high inflation.
Bank of Jamaica recognizes that our monetary policy actions to bring inflation back to its target will not be painless to all Jamaicans. However, the bank is cognizant that the greatest pain of all is the adverse impact of high and unpredictable inflation on the ability of our working population and the most vulnerable members of society to afford the basic necessities of food, transportation, and housing, and on the stable long-term economic growth of the country.
Now for your market updates. In foreign exchange trading for Tuesday, December 20, the US dollar sold for an average of $153.22. The Canadian dollar ended trading at $112.81. The pound sterling traded for $186.57, and the euro sold for an average of $164.69. In GSE trading, the GSE index advanced by 1,715 points. The junior market index declined by 37 points. The combined market index advanced by 1,257 points, and the All Jamaican Composite Index advanced by 27 points. Overall market activity resulted from trading in 107 stocks, of which 41 advanced, 47 declined, and 19 traded firm. Stocks advanced for AMG Packaging and Paper Company Limited, Barita Investments Limited, and Berger Paints Jamaica Limited. Stocks declined for 138 Student Living Jamaica Limited, 138 Student Living Jamaica Limited Verbal Preference, and Access Financial Services Limited. Trading firm were Carreras Limited, Derrimon Trading Company Limited, and Epley Limited 7.25% preference shares. The overall volume leaders were Future Energy Source Company Limited ordinary shares with over 10 million units, Regency Petroleum Company Limited with over 5 million units, and Wigton Wind Farm Limited ordinary shares with over 4 million units. In regional stocks, on the Trinidad and Tobago Stock Exchange, Clico Investment Fund was the volume leader with over 20,000 shares, followed by Calusa Macro Index Fund with a volume of 45 shares being traded. On the Barbados Stock Exchange, Goddard Enterprises Limited was the sole security trading 10,000 shares. In regional business, at its recent fourth quarterly report, the Barbados Hotel and Tourism Association projected a 70% occupancy rate for December. More in this CBC report.
The CEO's report was delivered last week away from the gaze of the media. However, CBC News attained a copy which outlined several projections. This month's projected figure stands at 70%, while January expects to see 68% occupancy. February's numbers are on course for another jump, even bigger than December. The projection is for 73%. As expected, there will be a dip in the months of March, April, and May. A graph of occupancy performance from 2019 to 2022 shows that while numbers still haven't reached 2019 levels, they show a drastic improvement over the last 2 years. The report also revealed an increase in membership for the BHTA. In fact, 9 new entities came on board. The association was also proud to announce its participation in 10 industry shows, including Roots World 2022, a first for the BHTA. Among other information, the feedback from those shows indicate that Barbados is still in high demand. A number of activities were also undertaken during the period, including a memorandum of understanding with UNICEF to be signed at the end of December and a relaunch of the Barbados Travel Guide.
In international business, amid growing calls from Wall Street for him to quit steering the social media platform, Twitter CEO Elon Musk said he would step down when he finds a successor.
Elon Musk says he'll step down as CEO of Twitter when he finds a successor who is, as he put it, quote, foolish enough to take the job. That's after he launched a Twitter poll on Sunday evening, and over 57% of users voted for him to step down. Following the poll, Musk tweeted that there was no successor and that no one wants the job who can actually keep Twitter alive. Calls for him to quit steering the social media giant have been growing from Wall Street recently. Even investors in Tesla have questioned his focus on Twitter and if it's distracting him from properly steering the electric vehicle business, where he is central to product design and engineering. Shares of Tesla fell nearly 6% on Tuesday following Musk's poll about stepping down. Analysts say investors are worried that Musk may need to sell shares further to fund Twitter. Musk himself has admitted he had too much on his plate. Since Musk had bought Twitter in October for $44 billion, there have been mass layoffs to the firm in a cost-cutting measure and massive changes for its users, from a planned paid subscription system for verified users to a surge of new right-wing users and conspiracy theorists on the platform.
In market data for oil prices rose after data suggested a larger than expected draw in U.S. crude stockpiles. Brent crude futures were up 93 cents at $80.92 a barrel, and West Texas Intermediate crude futures gained 80 cents to $77.03 a barrel. And that was the business report on PBCJ. I'm Danita Rodney.
In regional news, we now move over to the Bahamas, where that country, against the context of flu season, is pushing the importance of Bahamians getting their flu shots. Local pediatricians are pushing the importance of vaccinating their children, and despite the negative reports surrounding vaccines, Dr. Carlos Thomas says there are lots of benefits that parents should consider.
As you are aware, these infections target everyone, but particularly those at the extreme of ages, so the very elderly and the very young, because their immune systems are not ideal. They're at risk for having serious infections. So we strongly encourage that you seek medical attention in your doctor's office, at the government clinics, to get your child vaccinated against influenza.
And if you are concerned about vaccine safety?
The vaccines are safe. They have many decades of history, and the impact of vaccines is clear. In jurisdictions where the vaccine rates are higher, there are less infections. One of my concerns as a doctor is that our compliance with vaccines over the last decade has been slowly decreasing. So in the past, we used to boast over 95% of our children who are vaccinated, and now it's lower. And the concern is the lower the vaccine rate, the greater the chance of emergence of diseases.
Trinidad and Tobago and the People's Republic of China have signed an agreement that places the country one step closer to constructing the new Forensic Science Center. We have more from TTT.
The exchange of letters between the Minister of National Security, Fitzgerald Hines, and the Ambassador of the People's Republic of China, Fang Chu, was done on Monday. Minister Hines said the documents are designed to govern the implementation of the project in respect of the anticipated center. He said the letters outline the obligations of each party in the execution of the project. The minister announced in February of 2022 that government acquired clearance for the land where the new building will be constructed.
Ladies and gentlemen, this project is made possible through funding, significant amounts provided by the People's Republic of China and facilitated through a series of economic and technical cooperation agreements between our governments. The Trinidad and Tobago Forensic Science Center was identified as the beneficiary under this funding.
He said once completed, the new facility will ensure that the increasing demand for services provided by the Forensic Science Center will be adequately met.
This project will greatly aid in our nation's response to crime and criminality, applying, as we already have been doing for many years, improved facilities, improved techniques in the sciences that are used in the detection of crimes.
In Grenada, initial discussions on the subject of marijuana have changed from decriminalizing it to now legalizing it. The Agriculture Minister explains the government's plans for moving the issue forward.
Agriculture Minister Adrian Thomas has announced the opening of a secretariat to facilitate the move to legalize marijuana.
But we have gone a step further because we are talking about legalizing it for medicinal purposes. Since then, Madam President, we have put in place a commission to coordinate that activity. In January, we'll be opening the Secretariat so that the necessary work can be done. Madam President, there will be a CEO in the Secretariat to do the day-to-day operation.
The intent to decriminalize marijuana was one of the issues championed by the National Democratic Congress on the campaign trail in the lead-up to the 2023 general elections. It was the NDC's former female political leader, Mrs. Franca Alexis Bonadine, who announced her party's intent to pursue the decriminalization of cannabis.
If this present administration fails to act on the recommendations of the report and refuses to establish the framework to study and implement the recommendations, as well as the decriminalizing issues which are supported by the people, the NDC commits to doing so as a priority on forming the government.
The New National Party, which initially had thrown cold water on plans to decriminalize marijuana, subsequently bought into the idea and advanced the legal draft tabled in Parliament. With Prime Minister Deacon Mitchell at the helm, Minister Thomas says the government has gone one step further.
There will be extensive consultation with the general public, involving education programs, because our people must understand what this industry is all about. We want them to be part of it. And therefore, Madam President, we have allocated over $400,000 to that first phase for the preliminary work. In 12 months' time, Madam President, the necessary legislations must be in place and will be in place. And we'll be ready to cultivate and process the necessary products from the cannabis.
He said there are organizations waiting to get on board.
Institutions like the FAO, CADI, ICA, UNDP, they are all calling to assist some way or the other. And if when the call is made, we don't have the structure in place to brace the opportunity with both hands, we will be failing the people of Grenada, Carriacou, and Petite Martinique.
Government named former Senator Rolanda McQueen as chairman of a 12-member commission on cannabis legalization and regulation. Their task includes holding broad-based consultations and engaging in public awareness on the policy decision to legalize cannabis within a legal and regulatory framework. Cherry Blackman Stephen, JBN News.
Nearly 200 nations have agreed to a landmark deal to protect the planet at the United Nations' current Biodiversity Conference in Canada. The cornerstone of the agreement is a pledge to protect 30% of the world's lands and oceans by 2030. The COP15 summit in Montreal had been regarded by many environmentalists as a last chance to put nature on a path to recovery.
I do not see objection. The package is adopted.
It was 3:30 in the morning when representatives of about 190 countries finally came to an agreement to protect biodiversity. After 2 weeks of torturous negotiations in Montreal, there was reason to celebrate.
We're really thrilled to see this. We see this as the culmination of not only this COP, but really years of efforts with the results being a framework that makes clear ambitious and measurable goals and targets coupled with review efforts as well to track that progress.
The agreement pledges to protect 30% of the planet's land and oceans by 2030 and increase funding for conservation efforts. But some African nations and environmental advocates wanted stronger commitments on funding for poor countries. At stake, 1 million species of plants and animals, which studies say are at risk of extinction due to human activity like farming and fishing.
Biodiversity loss and climate change, they're two sides of the same coin. And we need equitable funding. And it's just not clear from the framework if there's new money for conservation programs.
Another key breakthrough is the inclusion of Indigenous peoples' rights as an essential component of conservation. Throughout the two-week conference, protesters braved the Montreal cold to raise awareness of endangered species and keep the pressure on delegates. The UN Secretary General praised the deal, but warned even more needs to be done.
This is not a time to sit on the sidelines. It's a time for resolve, determination, and yes, even hope. Because despite the limitations and long odds, we are working to push back against despair, to fight back against disillusion, and to find real solutions. Not perfect solutions.
Now it's up to individual governments to follow through on the agreement and figure out how to implement it. That will involve getting rid of subsidies that are harmful to nature and essentially doubling financial resources for conservation globally by 2030. Kristen Salumi, Al Jazeera.
More than 20 bronze sculptures that Germany had looted have been returned to Nigeria as part of Berlin's effort to redress its dark colonial past.
These artifacts are not mere decorative works, but our culture and heritage. They belong here and not anywhere.
We ignored that Nigeria's plea to return them for a very long time. It was wrong to take them, but it was also wrong to keep them. This is a story of European colonialism. The return of the bronzes today is therefore a crucial step towards addressing this chapter in the way that it should be addressed. Openly, frankly, with a willingness to critically assess one's own activities.
In our sporting focus today, we turn our gaze to the Moroccan World Cup team's triumphant return home, having represented their country at the recently concluded FIFA World Cup held in Qatar. We join Al Jazeera for those details.
The Atlas Lions are back, welcomed by a roaring crowd. Young and old, waiting hours for the chance to see them, to honor them. A team that has made Moroccans proud.
So we're really proud of the national team and what they have done at this World Cup in 2022. So we're here to celebrate with them all the things they've done for us and voilà.
Although we didn't won the final, it's very important for us to be proud of what we made, because we all made this together and
we made history.
Yes. Well, yes, we made history. This team showed what Moroccans are capable of, and they showed the world how talented the Moroccan team is.
Feeling very happy, alhamdulillah. We came from Holland just to witness this. It's a life achievement, wallah. It feels like coming home. Tears, goosebumps, everything. If you can see the people, the happiness that it brought, everything, and yeah, man. Wallah, we love you, Maghreb. Dima Maghreb.
Watching from Casablanca is 73-year-old former central defender of Morocco's national team. Anini Abdulaziz played in the 1970 World Cup in Mexico. The team was made up of amateurs. Abdulaziz worked as an engineer and practiced with his teammates during lunch breaks, earning a few $100s a month to play for the national team.
We all wish to have been part of this team. They're so professional and youthful. They clearly play for the love of their country, of their flag and of their king.
Most of the players were born abroad and are dual nationals. To receive a hero's welcome from the country of origin, from where their families are from, is not just special, it resonates for millions of people.
Listen to the crowd. It's as if Morocco has won the World Cup. The success of the Moroccan team has brought a sense of pride and unity for millions of Moroccans, for the diaspora, for the Arab world, for Africans. And this is the magic of Qatar 2022.
Not the end, but the beginning of a new journey for the Moroccan football team. In making history, they now seem unstoppable, carried by the support and love of millions of people. Nicholas Hogg, Al Jazeera, Rabat, Morocco.
And that is it for news on PBCJ. I am Maya Chung. You can follow us on our social media platforms at PBCJamaica. Thanks for watching.